Hey guys, and welcome to or back to the Paws in Pursuit podcast with your host, Summer Clark. So I think this is the latest I've ever recorded a podcast. It is currently 25 to 8 on a Monday evening and I'm tired, but I'm here, I'm showing up, I'm coming on. We've got a big episode, 20 questions today. The topic is going to be starting a podcast and growing on social media. So last week on Instagram, I asked you guys for all of your questions around this topic and I had so many. I think this is the topic that has, I don't know how to word that. This topic has got me the most questions from you guys, if that makes sense. But before we jump into that, one, I want to give you a little recent roundup of my previous week, as I always do. And then two, the big news that you all know of by now. I think, yes, I told you yesterday, technically. By that I mean tomorrow in my time, but in your time, yesterday. So first of all, my week. And the reason I'm recording now, I normally don't do it this late or this close to Wednesday, but today I had a canine first aid course at my college. As you all probably know by now, I am doing grooming at college, as that's what I want to do as a career. I think I've got like 75, maybe just under, weeks left of the course until I'm a fully qualified dog groomer. As you all probably know, I want to be a mobile dog groomer, have my own little van and stuff, so that is my dream career. And that's what I'm working towards. It's going really well. I do love it. If I get to do that as a career, then I'll be one very happy gal and I will feel very fortunate. I mean, I do anyway, but you know what I mean. So that was today. And then I went to the gym, obviously. And now I'm here. I've just had my tea and now I'm here. What else has happened? Oh, yeah. And then tomorrow is just a normal day. However, I have to take my car in to get fixed at a weird time. I also have to obviously walk Arrow, train Arrow. Seesaw is every day now, you've probably seen. As now he's got his confidence and he's flying off seesaws. Shout out if you saw his airborne moment, as I said in my post, at the Junior European Open. He flew it. So now we're cracking back onto that criteria. He was so worried about it before and now he's not. So I wasn't strict on criteria, but now I'm going to be. So we're doing that every day. So yeah, I have to do that. And then I've got work 3 till 9, my little part-time job that I can't wait to replace. So that's tomorrow. And I didn't want to leave it that close doing the podcast. Then on Wednesday and Thursday, I'm judging at Dog Sports Derby. And then Friday, I have college, so my actual grooming. And then Saturday, I'm competing at Derbyshire. And then Sunday, I'm judging at Derbyshire. So full on week, as per. Literally not a moment to rest, but I love it like that. So that is my upcoming week. And then the news of last week, what happened between last Wednesday and today? So I had 2 big announcements. First one is Fuel 10K now sponsor me. I have no words. I'm so excited. I've loved that brand for as long as I can remember. I'm just over the moon. And yeah, you probably saw in the post, I just am absolutely over the moon. And I'm so grateful to be an ambassador for Fuel 10K. And yeah, so look out for lots more. As you know, I'm doing the Food and Fitness Friday posts on my Instagram. They have been on a Saturday lately because I keep having really busy Fridays where I forget. But I have been consistent. Some of them have just been Saturdays, but I have done one a week so far. So there'll be lots more of those, including Fuel 10K products. And yeah, go check out the website or the Instagram of Fuel 10K and have a look at the products they do. They're amazing. Lots of protein, obviously, as a gym gal like me loves. And yeah, so that's one exciting announcement. And then here comes the second big announcement. So the podcast, the Paws in Pursuit podcast, is now sponsored by Huel. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I can't believe it. These 2 amazing, massive brands now sponsoring me and my podcast. Crazy what is going on, but I'm so grateful. And before we get into the episode, I'm going to introduce you to Huel. Now, I would just like to take a minute to introduce you guys to the podcast sponsor, Huel. So here I have one of the ready-to-drink Huel meals, the berry flavour. Huel ready-to-drink is a meal in a bottle with over 20 grams of protein. It really is the perfect meal for when you are on the go. You don't need to sacrifice convenience or nutrition, you can have both with ready-to-drink. Each serving has 26 vitamins and minerals. This means every bottle of ready-to-drink has 175 health benefits. It is made from natural ingredients such as coconut, sunflower seeds, tapioca, pea protein, flax seeds, and hemp seed protein. Every meal is vegan and it has no gluten, no palm oil, no GMO, no lactose and no animal products whatsoever. It comes in 8 delicious flavours including iced coffee caramel and strawberries and cream, as well as the classics like vanilla, chocolate and banana. It is absolutely delicious and just tastes like a milkshake. It is widely sold in supermarkets, petrol stations and corner shops around the UK, and it can be conveniently purchased online. I found out about Huel because I was looking for a product that would give me all the nutrients that I need while travelling to events and staying over at competitions and training events. So when it's time to refuel and have a meal, I can just drink a ready to drink Huel product and get all my nutrients quickly, easily and without cooking. It's perfect when I don't have the time or the facilities to cook. For example, when I'm camping at a competition, I'm going to be drinking at least one a day at KCI and Dogs in Need. If you're super busy just like me, then you really don't want to miss out. You can easily and conveniently shop ready to drink from Huel at the link uk.huel.com/paws. I hugely appreciate anyone and everyone that uses my link, as it helps keep this podcast running, and every sale through that link helps keep my podcast going. Buying through my link also gets you a free t-shirt which will be auto applied at the checkout. If you subscribe to a Huel order, you can save 10%. You can choose how often your subscription comes, for example every 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, etc. And these are super easy to manage on the website and you can edit whenever you like. uk.huel.com/paws. And I don't think anything else really happened this past week that I can think of. Maybe it did. I mean, if it did, it'll be on my Instagram. I do have short-term memory loss a lot of the time, but those were the 2 big announcements, and yeah, I'm just absolutely buzzing. So without further ado, as I've already rambled plenty in this intro, let's get into the questions. So, starting a podcast and growing on social media. Now, I know this isn't really like a dog or agility topic, but it's something I've had a lot of questions about, and I always encourage people to sort of follow in my footsteps if they get inspired and do what I'm doing. You know, there's room for all of us here in this space, so I'd like to give you some advice if you would like to do what I have done and what a lot of people have done, I'm not gonna lie. So number 1 is, how do you come up with a catchy podcast name or social media username? Now, this isn't as easy as it sounds. It sounds quite easy, doesn't it? But it's not. My Instagram was first called Ethel and Earl's World because I had a blog when I was little, like 8, for a couple of years, because I've always loved writing and stuff and taking pictures and videos and putting it online. So I was always destined to do something like this, really, I suppose. And that was called Earl's World before I got Ethel. So then Ethel and Earl's World was the Instagram. Excuse me. And then I decided to change it to Paws in Pursuit. I can't even tell you how I came up with the name Paws in Pursuit. I think I had a I think my main piece of advice for this is have a little brainstorming session. So if you want to come up with a name or change your name, so I wanted to change my name, come up with a name that I could use across all of my platforms. That is a big tip. Use the same name so that everyone knows who you are. Don't change usernames because people think it's a different person. Make it the same name, make it short, make it catchy, make it different. You want it different to other people's. So I came up with Paws in Pursuit. I had a little brainstorming sesh. I had a few different name ideas with that. You know, like when you try and come up with a name for a new puppy. It's like that, but for usernames or podcast names. So obviously I brainstormed. I came up with lots. Paws in Pursuit was one of them. I think I had Sporty Paws, Paws doing sport with paws, stuff like that, which I think there is a sport with paws actually existing. So obviously then you've got to type them all in, make sure no one else has them. No one had Paws in Pursuit, and I was like, yes. Obviously, paws for a dog in pursuit can mean 2 things. It can mean the dog is in pursuit of you, e.g. you're leading it around an agility course, it is following your lead. Or 2, it could mean I am in pursuit of the paws, so I'm running after my dogs. So it links into agility, it links into everything with dogs, and that is obviously how I got my podcast name. Again, keep everything similar, so Paws in Pursuit on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and all that turned into the Paws in Pursuit podcast. So everyone would know it'd be me, if that makes sense. So obviously you want the name to be relevant as well, so just have a think, try and make it clever, make it mean something. Don't rush into it. Again, just don't. Just wait until you have one that you're like, wow, I love that. So yeah, that is pretty much how to come up with names. Like I said, keep it consistent. That is probably my biggest piece of advice for that one. And number 2 is, how do you engage with your followers? Now, this is quite a broad topic. I'm going to do this for social media and a podcast. So for social media, I'd say post consistently. Again, it's all about consistency. If you don't post in ages and you drop off, you drop off people's radars and they stop seeing you, and therefore they stop thinking about you. So out of sight, out of mind. If you're posting consistently, people will expect your posts when they open the apps. And obviously just create engaging content for a start. Again, I don't find it very difficult to come up with ideas for posts and podcast episodes because I'm so busy and I do a lot to talk about and post about, if that makes sense. So again, the fuller your life is and the more you put yourself out there in life and do things, the more you have to post about. Do you know what I mean? So social media is great in that way as well, and podcasting, you know, it pushes you as well to go out and do things to get content, if that makes sense. Not that that's the only reason that you're going to do things, but you know, it definitely helps, because I have thought before, I kind of don't want to do this, I'm tired, I can't be bothered, whatever. But then I'm like, oh, but it would also make great content and I will enjoy it. So it's just another thing, isn't it? But yeah, engaging with your followers, consistency. Have a niche, so have what your platform is about. So yes, I know I have a few different niches. So I've got dog agility, obviously. I've got a bit of dog grooming now. And I've got health and fitness and nutrition of the dog sport handler mainly. So it all revolves around dogs basically. So agility, grooming and handler, fitness and nutrition. Though I'd say those are my three things mainly. I don't stray to anything else. That is my thing, and they all sort of go hand in hand. So have a niche, don't be too random, don't be posting about loads of different things all the time, because people won't know what to think of you as, if that makes sense. You need to develop that like online character, that personality. So yeah, be consistent, have a niche, stick to it. Yeah, that's it really. Post regularly about the niche. And also be interactive with your followers. So like reply to comments. I'm not very good at that. I'm a busy gal, alright, leave me alone. Anyway, but I do love them all. So that's great. I don't want to be that person that like says thank you in a comment and then copies and pastes it to all the comments, because like that's so obvious. And people have done that before and I've seen it and be like, you may as well just like it and leave it at that. No hate, at least you're trying. But, well, I'm going to get people coming at me already. But yeah, engage. So like post on stories. Stories, huge. Instagram. TikTok has stories as well. Facebook has stories. Everything has stories these days. Stories are a great way to keep engaging with your followers and keep yourself in the sight of your followers without having to dedicate loads of time to creating a big post. You can literally just take a picture or video of what's in front of you, put a quick caption, post it, takes less than a minute. Whereas a post, you know, probably have to put a bit more effort in because it's there forever, etc. Stories disappear. You know, just keep your followers updated on stories, even if you're only posting once a week on the feed. Stories daily, every 2 days, that's fine. Excuse me, I'm terrible, aren't I? It's just because I'm eating my tea. But those are probably my main tips for engaging with your followers, and obviously follow other people. So find accounts you love and follow them. Hopefully they'll follow you back. You know, that's something I did as well. You know, don't just be about yourself on social media, interact with other people. So follow other people, like other people's posts, comment on other people's posts, DM someone replying to their story. Just be interactive. People have got to see you as an actual person behind the screen and not just a robot posting for themselves, not interacting. You have to be social. It's called social media for a reason. And obviously podcast, you want to, again, niche is the same across all platforms. Talk about your niche in a podcast. So make your podcast an extension of your social media. And if you don't have social media, then just, again, podcast, niche, talk about your niche. And again, consistency, huge. Like every Wednesday, I've said that I'm going to post every Wednesday. I'm posting every Wednesday. Even if I had to, you know, my podcast episodes come out at 8 p.m. on a Wednesday. If it was 6 p.m. on a Wednesday and I hadn't done an episode yet, the next 2 hours would be me grinding out an episode. It's happening, okay? Stick to your word. People will trust you more. People will look forward to your episodes. There's nothing worse than someone going to your podcast at 8 p.m. expecting a new episode and there isn't one. So try and be consistent. Yeah, and just talk about your niche. And again, like I do, ask people what they'd like to see. Say, tell me what you'd like to see. What episode topics would you like? What guests do you want me to have on? Guests is another great way to be more interactive. People will see you interacting with another human being, all that thing, because, you know, it can be easy for you just to seem like someone behind a screen and not a real person, if that makes sense. And also, when you're out and about, say at shows and stuff, talk to people, you know, let people get to know you outside of just you on social media. That's important. And talk as well. Like, podcasts are great, I think, because, you know, it's actually you talking to your audience and engaging and being funny and being your personality, letting your personality show through, instead of just posting pictures of your dogs and videos of agility all the time, because they're like, well, who is that? Who is that dog owner? Who is that handler? So yeah, those are my main tips for number 2. Number 3 is, how do you make your account more aesthetic? So if anyone doesn't know, which you probably do, aesthetic is like good looking, you know, like nice to look at, aesthetically pleasing to the eye. I don't really, I mean, I wouldn't say my account is aesthetic. Like, I don't look at my feed and think, oh, everything's the same colour, everything matches, you know, there's a, I mean, I don't think that's what it's meant to be. So, you know, aesthetic as far as the podcast goes and the YouTube and stuff, obviously I've made an aesthetic logo and an aesthetic YouTube banner, and then on Instagram and all that, having a nice profile picture that represents you nicely and is a good quality, and yeah, stuff like that you're proud of. So, and again, uploading content that you're proud of, then to you it's going to be aesthetic, it's going to look good, because, you know, so high quality pictures actually is a good one. You know, upload high quality posts and they're going to look better. It's going to make your entire feed look better and high quality. And again, I know it sounds silly, but on a podcast, make sure you're using capital letters in the right place, good punctuation. I know some people find it trendy to not use any capital letters. I don't understand that personally, because I'm a bit OCD and I was like a proper English nerd in school. I don't get that, it really winds me up. And I don't know how, you must have to turn it off on your phone, because my phone automatically puts capital letters in anyway after a full stop, for example. So I don't know how that works, but I don't like it personally. I don't use it. But no hate, if you do that to be quirky and trendy, fair enough. It does look quite soft, to be fair. Like, capital letters can be harsh, can't they? But if you're not going to use capital letters, never use capital letters. So if someone's scrolling through your podcast or your Instagram, no capital letters. If one post there's no capital letters and another one there is, that's like, what's going on? So again, it's about consistency. Have a consistent aesthetic in that sense, with the not font really, but even that, stories, you'll probably notice I use the same font and colours in all of my stories and stuff like that. So consistency is key to looking the best, in my opinion. But yeah, I have always had quite a keen eye for aesthetics, and I'm, like I said, a little bit of mild OCD always helps. But only upload things that you are proud of, you know. Don't upload for the sake of it. Upload things that you're happy you uploaded, you like the look of it, you like what you've written, and that's all you can do really. And then that is aesthetic. And someone else might not think it's aesthetic, but as long as you're proud of it, then who really cares? So number 4 is, how do you stay motivated to post consistently? This is a great question. I don't really. Bit like, how do you stay motivated to go to the gym every day? Don't always. Motivation is never consistent at all. Again, start social media or a podcast because you want to, not because you think, oh, I should. It will get me more followers. Don't do it for the followers. Don't do it for the hype. Don't do it to make money one day, anything like that. Do it because you actually want to and you enjoy making the content. Making the content, editing the content, uploading the content, you know, replying to people, engaging on social media. That's, you have to love it to do it. Same as anything, same as the gym, same as agility. But you can make yourself enjoy it more by just starting. My first episode, I did not enjoy recording that. Go back and watch it. I was so awkward. I was sat here like this, talking like this. It was really weird. Now I'm completely comfortable in front of a camera. So give it a while. And if you're really not enjoying it, then don't do it anymore. But yeah, if you love it, you should be motivated enough to do it. But sometimes I'm not motivated to. Sometimes I'm like, oh, got to sit and talk for an hour and I'm knackered. Not like that's me right now or anything. No, it's not. I'm not too bad. But you know what I mean? But you then have to remember, I have been, you know, I think I started my podcast last November. I said upload every Wednesday at 8 p.m. I've been consistent. I want to keep the streak going. I don't want to let any followers down. You know, I want to be that person who's consistent and reliable and follows through and does what they say. So there's a bit of pride as well. Think, this is my commitment. I'm going to stick to it. And then once you do, you feel so much better about yourself. You know, it boosts your confidence, you know. It feels more real. Again, the more consistent you are, the more views you'll probably get, and then you can go into getting like sponsors and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not always a case of motivation. And on Instagram as well, some posts do take a while, you know, and YouTube videos even, well, I say worse, they take forever. Like I've got a Junior European Open vlog that I'm editing at the moment. Takes forever, I tell you, to get it to the quality that you want it to upload. But I enjoy the process, it just takes forever. But some days I don't want to edit it. But I'm like, oh, I really want to get this out. I really want to get this done. I film the content, so, you know, I'm going to finish what I started. I always like to finish what I started, otherwise it winds me up. And I feel annoyed at myself, and we don't want that. So yeah, you're not always motivated, but again, that's why I like saying to people, I'm doing this at this time. And then I will make myself do it. Do you get what I mean? So tell people, and that's called accountability. So have accountability by people by telling them what you're going to do, and that makes you more likely to stick to it, because you'll have them then going, oh, is it ready for this time, this date, blah, blah, blah. Or if it's not, people will be like, where is it? Do you know what I mean? So you think, oh no, you have to get it done by then, because people will be like, well, where is it? So it's just little things like that. And again, some people may think of that as a load of pressure. I think it's good pressure. I like that kind of pressure. Adds that feeling of responsibility and, you know, ownership. And just think, this is your social media channel. This is your podcast. You want to be proud of it. So you want to put that effort in to get there. But it's not always about motivation. Nothing in life really is about motivation. Some days you will be, some days you won't be. But it really helps if you find it fun, to be honest. If you hate it, then you're never going to be motivated, and why bother? So number 5 is, how do you approach people for guest podcast episodes? Literally, I message them on like Facebook Messenger or Instagram. Usually Facebook Messenger. But I literally just message them saying, hi, you've probably seen I have a podcast called Paws and Pursuit, the Paws and Pursuit podcast, where I talk about all things agility. I was thinking we could do a guest episode about this, talking about this. Let me know what you think. And then if they say yes, then that's great. I ask them for a picture to advertise the episode. I tell them how it works. I'm like, yep, I'll ask my listeners questions, give them a day or so to get the questions in. I plan the episode, write all the questions down, and send it to the guest. Then, so they know what's coming. You don't want to just catch them off guard. Most people do like to prepare their answers, or at least know exactly what they're going to be asked, so they're not just sat there like, I mean, I don't prepare my answers anymore because I'm comfortable, but I definitely used to. And I know, you know, guests, especially if they don't normally go on podcasts, or have never been on a podcast before, they'd probably like to know what's going on before they sit down with you. And it's live, because it can be quite nerve-wracking. Like I said, when I started, it was nerve-wracking and weird. And some guests can be like that. So you want to make them as comfortable as possible, and enjoy the experience as well. Because at the end of the day, they're doing you a favour by coming on your podcast. You asked them to, so make it nice for them. And then I say, let me know when you're free, you know, in the next week or 2 weeks, or, you know, when are you free to do it? And then tell them when you're not free, you know, or give an example. Say, can you do it at this time on this day? And then obviously compromise a little bit with them until you both have a date. Excuse me again, that's like the 3rd time that's happened. Choking on nothing. Choking on my own words, that's what's happening. And then usually I put aside like 2 hours for a guest episode, because I want to take my time with them. Usually my guest episodes are anywhere between an hour and 2 hours. Usually about an hour and a half, an hour 20, an hour 40, anywhere in between an hour and a half and 2 hours. So always leave enough time as well. But yeah, that's just how I approach people. Really casual, really informal, keeping it easy, keeping it friendly and chilled and fun, basically. Not making it really formal, like you don't need to write a full-on letter and post it to them asking. Just make it casual. Again, most people that I ask I already know, so they are my friends. So that makes it easier as well. So number 6 is, what are the main differences between planning and recording a guest podcast episode and a solo podcast episode? Nothing really. Absolutely nothing. When it's a questions related thing, so when I've asked you all questions on Instagram, which is most of the time, it's always the time with guests and most of the time with solo episodes, literally by planning it, I just write I list the questions that you've asked. That's it. That's the planning done. Obviously when it's a solo episode, I like to read them through and have in a bit more depth and have a bit more of an idea of what I'm going to say. I don't write down what I'm going to say, but I just, maybe think about it a bit more. Guests, they're their questions to answer. I just read them out. So I write them down so I can read them out to them, and then I send them to them so they can prepare their answers. So for me, planning, no difference, but I probably look at those questions a little bit more in depth for a solo episode. But if it isn't questions, if it is just me, I haven't asked you questions, I just want to talk about something, I'll write down, 10 to 20 points, just quickly, bullet points of topics I'm going to cover for a solo episode. Whereas guests, it's always questions because it's like when you have a guest on, it's like an interview. So they're the only differences. It's very similar. And as far as recording goes, again, not a lot of difference. However, I act exactly the same, but again, they're talking more than me, I reckon. I'm just asking the questions and having a bit of a conversation. Obviously, right, like now when I'm recording a solo episode, I've got my camera, I've got my tripod in front of me, and I'm just talking. There's no gaps between me talking. But for a guest episode, I don't even have the camera and the tripod. Obviously, I'm talking to them on my laptop on a video call. So I literally use Messenger video call. You could use FaceTime, Teams, anything like that. Zoom, the Zoom days, lockdown vibes. Anyway, yeah, so I'm talking to a laptop. I screen record that conversation. And then obviously I edit, I don't even edit it. I just crop it so that actually, I think my podcast episode with Megan Hunt about the physio, I forgot to crop the screen down. So it's like my entire laptop screen with Messenger in the background and my tabs at the bottom. And I'm like, oh, but obviously I wasn't going to re-upload because it had already had views and likes and stuff. But yeah, I usually crop that down so it's literally just their screen and me in the little corner. And then I upload that, and obviously then, and same now, so I'm doing the video for YouTube, but obviously I have to export the video as audio only. So then the audio only version goes on, it used to be Anchor, but now it's Spotify Podcasters, the app that I use to upload my podcast. So the audio goes on that, and then the video goes on YouTube. So there's not loads of differences, just those slight little tweaks, but it's all pretty much the same thing. Number 7, do you prefer solo podcast episodes or guest podcast episodes, and why? That's really hard. Probably guest because I feel like I learn something myself in a selfish way. Whereas solo episodes, I'm purely giving information. Guest episodes, I learn something too. So I'd say that's my favourite, and it's more fun as well because it's not me just talking, I'm having a conversation, and conversations with someone are more fun than just talking to a camera, if that makes sense. Like solo episodes, there's no one to come back at me. I'm just saying what I'm talking about. Whereas guest episodes, someone will come back at me and I'll go back at that. Sounds like we're arguing. We're not. You know what I mean? It's like the bounce back and forth. It just makes it more interesting. So yeah, I probably prefer guest episodes. But I'd say solo podcast episodes are a bit more chill because I can literally just sit here and ramble. So again, it depends what mood I'm in. If I'm a bit tired, or really passionate about a topic, solo episodes, because I can just sit here and chill and just get it all off my chest as I wish. But guest episodes are definitely more interesting, and I get more from them personally. So probably if I had to choose, guest episodes, but it greatly depends on how I'm feeling and what the topic is. I've lost where I am. Number 8, how do you not run out of podcast episode ideas? Again, like I said earlier, doing lots of things to talk about. So my life is very busy, very full. I do a lot of things. I can talk about that on the podcast, and most people are interested in it because it's my niche. And like I said, my life is literally the dogs, agility, bit of grooming, and a lot of fitness. So that's what I talk about on my podcast. So I don't really run out of podcast episode ideas because I do a lot and have done a lot to talk about. So that's literally what it is. And then also, not just that, but 2, again, brainstorming. So sometimes you can just sit down and just write things down, write ideas down. And then obviously guest episodes, you could literally go through your Facebook friends list or Instagram following list and see if there's anyone in there that you think, oh, they'd be really interesting to talk about. talk to, have on as a guest, and then think what is it that they're really good at, or you know they're an expert in, or they've just recently done to talk about, and then approach them. So a lot of it is about just brainstorming yourself. And then the last thing is obviously after every podcast episode, I tell you guys, let me know what topics you'd like me to cover and what guests you'd like me to have on. So that sort of keeps it coming as well. So you've not just got my own ideas for episodes, but you've also got your guys' ideas. And that's another thing to engage with followers, like I said, asking what your listeners and followers want to hear. Ask what posts they want, ask what episodes they want, and then deliver that. And they're going to be more engaged because they wanted that. They're going to be looking out for that. That's useful to them. So you always want to put out content that is going to help people, your followers, in some way. And I think that's it. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So just do a lot of things, basically. Go through social media to find people that you would like to have on as guests, and ask your followers and listeners what they would like to see. That's basically what it is. Number 9, and to be honest, I've always had quite a creative sort of mind, so that helps. Number 9 is, how do you include songs in your YouTube videos without getting copyrighted? This is a great question, and one I can't tell you because I still haven't figured it out myself. I don't really use songs in my YouTube videos anymore. I don't. Obviously, there's no songs in the podcast. And then my vlogs, it's me talking again, whether that's a voiceover to clips or me actually talking the clips. If you notice, there's no music. And in the few that there have been music in, my first couple of videos, I was copyrighted and the music was taken out of my videos, I think. So I don't know. I know to use songs in your YouTube videos, you have to get the owner's permission of that track, which is a lot of effort, and I don't even know if that's possible. Like, how do you do that? Surely you can't be like, Ed Sheeran, message him and be like, please can I use your song in my YouTube video? No. Or do you message I don't know, I don't understand. Or is it Spotify that I don't know, I don't have a clue. But my trick is just not using music, to be honest. I know it's so annoying on Instagram and TikTok, they give you sounds and songs that are, what's the word? They're like licensed to be used. I think you can actually, thinking about it on YouTube, get a license to use songs, but I don't know how you do that, and I don't know if you have to pay. So again, it's not something I've actually looked into. It is possible, but again, you have to go down a route to get there and be able to do that. I think there are some songs and some sounds on platforms that are licensed that everyone can use. But actual full songs, I just don't think you can use without their permission. But again, I'm not quite sure exactly who you have to get permission from and whether you have to pay. And I'm pretty sure you can get some sort of license, but again, I don't know how you get it or how much it is. So I don't really know. My videos, I don't put songs in them anymore. I'm always talking. Whether you like that or not, it's just me talking. You know, sometimes I might have a bit of music in the background if I'm at a show like Iconics or something, but I don't get copyright for that. But yeah, so I just avoid it, to be honest. Number 10, what is your favourite thing about having a significant online presence? So compared to a lot of people online, I don't have that much of a significant online presence. But yes, I do have some following. I have a substantial following that I'm happy with at the moment. Obviously, you're always trying to grow. My favourite thing is, I just love creating content. I don't know. I just enjoy it. I always enjoyed it. Like I said, back to the days where I had my blog about Earl. I've always loved writing, taking photos and uploading them. That sense, I think my very favourite thing is having a sense of community. Like, you know, I know my followers really. Like, I always have those few hundred people that always comment, always. Do you get what I mean? Like, that I know pretty much who's watching, which is nice. And like when I'm talking like now, I know the general community that's watching. So again, it feels like more like a face-to-face personal thing. So that's my favourite part of having an online presence, is knowing you're following. And also knowing that you're potentially helping people. Like this podcast, my favourite thing about having this podcast is thinking that I'm using my experience to help people that are in a similar situation to me or maybe a few years behind me. So that's my favourite thing about the podcast. And then Instagram, similar, but yeah, for Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and all that, it's mainly sort of, I kind of know my followers, if that makes sense. Like, I like thinking that I know who's liking consistently and, you know, stuff like that. What is your least favourite thing about having a significant online presence? I don't really know, to be honest. I mean, if I had to pick a least favourite thing, it'd probably be that because you do have those days where it feels like more of a chore, where you're tired, where you don't have a lot of time, but because you want to be consistent, and you know you need to be consistent if you want to grow. Realistically, that's probably the worst thing, is when you don't feel like making content, but you have to, because, or you don't have to, but you want to be consistent, so you know you should, and you do it, but you kind of think, oh, I've got to film this, I've got to record that, even though I'm really tired and I've got a million things to do. And also, you know, in the beginning stages, you don't really make any or much money from it. It's mainly a passion project, or it is for me anyway. Obviously, I've got a few sponsors now, so that is coming into play. But you've got to do a lot of work to get there. And again, expand it more and more. You know, I'm definitely not done. I definitely want to expand it more and more as best I can. It's never going to be a full-time earner. It's not for most people, especially in a small niche like dogs, agility, training, grooming, etc. I think some fitness people do it, but then, you know, they're just fitness, and usually they're PTs and they're ripped. So that's a bit different. But, you know, it's exciting to think, oh yeah, you could potentially have it as a bit of a side hustle, make a bit of a living. So that's good. But, you know, it could be thought of as a bad thing, thinking, oh, all this effort and I'm not really even making money from it, you know, especially if you have an actual job. Like, I only work part-time, so I can't really talk. But if you've got a full 9-to-5 or a full-time job that you need to do, and then you're also trying to be consistent posting on social media, it is those days where you don't have the time or the energy or the motivation, in quotation marks, if you're not watching on YouTube. Yeah, those are the worst days, definitely. But again, it's not that big a deal. But if I had to choose a least favourite thing about it, that would be it. Number 12. What is your favourite online platform and why? Oh, great question. Instagram. That was so easy. I didn't even have to think about that. Instagram. Why? I don't know. I just think I enjoy it more. I am most active on Instagram. I like that you can post literally a huge variety of things on Instagram. You know, you can post pictures, videos, reels. You can post stories. You can post, you know, there's layout, there's boomerang. You can be so creative with it. There's now this new Threads. What does everyone think of Threads? Because I really don't know. I've used it twice and got not a lot of response. I just think it's a bit weird. Like, I haven't figured it out yet. But yeah, let me know if you guys use that or what you think of it, because I think it's really bizarre and I haven't figured it out yet. But yeah, there's just so many like branches off of Instagram, so much things to do. You know, you can do live videos and stuff. And I think most of the things started with Instagram, if that makes sense. Like, yes, TikTok, now you can do lives and stories, Facebook lives and stories. But like, for example, TikTok videos is just videos. Yes, you can do photos, but they're like weird and scrolly and I'm not a huge fan. Whereas Instagram, you can do reels, which is pretty much like a TikTok, but you can also do like a proper nice aesthetic photo as just a post. You know, you can just do a bit of everything. That's why I like Instagram over everything else. You know, YouTube is just obviously your videos, your longer videos, take longer to edit, not as regular uploads unless you're an absolute beast and that's all you do with your life. Respect if you do that, teach me. But yeah, Instagram, because there's just a bit of everything. And yeah, there's just more to do on it, more branches, more opportunities for engagement with your followers. So yeah, it's definitely got to be Instagram. Obviously, I love the podcast, but yeah, for social media, definitely Instagram. And 13, what is your least favourite online platform and why? Well, that's easy to answer right now. Threads. Don't understand it. That's why. I just don't understand it. And I just feel like there's only like one thing to do on it, and it's just type a little random. It's like Facebook, but just to post the post. Like, there's nothing else. So it's got to be Threads. But if it wasn't going to be Threads, because that is new, so I'm kind of cheated a bit there. Oh, apart from Threads, online platform. See, Snapchat's an online platform, so that's probably my least favourite, because that's just for me messaging my own friends, so it's not that fun. It's just like a messaging service, isn't it? But at the same time, you could say WhatsApp. Oh, that's really hard. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to keep it with Threads. My least favourite online platform is Threads because I don't get it. And it's a bit boring. So that's pretty much it, really. 13. What is... Oh, I've just done that one. 14. I'm terrible. I literally look down and I can't find where I am. My eyes go weird. Have you ever received hate or criticism online? And if so, how did you deal with it? Twice, I think. First time was hilarious, and it was someone, when I did one of those anonymous question and answer things on YouTube, I don't bother doing them anymore, but someone said, your voice is really annoying. And first I was like, I get that, like, it's, and that's when I was mainly just posting agility videos. So I wasn't even talking to people like I am now. So tell me if you think my voice is still annoying now, I'm just talking. But this was when I was like just running my dogs and posting those videos. And yes, I talk to Ethel like a baby. So I get it, high pitched. Yeah, come on then, yeah. And then now with Aaron, push. Yeah, it's probably annoying. But at the time I just thought that was really weird. And I think my response was, don't listen to it then. Literally like press the unfollow button and scoot away. Like you don't have to watch my content. So that was weird. So I didn't have to deal with that. I literally just said, don't watch it then. Goodbye. Go. Off you go. I'm not bothered. I don't need you to follow my accounts. So I didn't really have to deal with that because it didn't bother me. The second time, and again, this didn't really bother me, kind of annoyed me a little bit because I just thought, I'll explain what it is first. So someone accused me of copying because I created a podcast and someone's like, oh, did you copy? I won't like say loads of names or whatever, but people are like, oh, did you? Oh, okay, fine, I'll tell you. Okay, you probably know anyway. So someone said that I was copying Elise, Talk and Train podcast, Agility Rose. Brilliant podcast, huge inspiration for me, 100%. Someone said, are you copying that podcast? And I thought, hang on a minute. I didn't know podcasts were something only one person could have. And that really confused me because I've always listened to fitness podcasts and there's hundreds, probably thousands. I think there's about 10 fitness podcasts that I subscribe to. And they're all about the same topic, but everyone has a different opinion on things, a different insight into these topics, and it's just a different person with a different personality and a different way of talking and stuff. And, everyone is slightly different. So I'd be really disappointed if there was only one fitness podcast for me to listen to. I'd get bored, not because it's not good, just because I like a bit of variety. I like someone else's opinion, someone else's voice sometimes. So that really confused me. I was like, I feel like that person who said that to me doesn't listen to any other podcasts. They obviously thought that was just the one podcast that existed. Maybe they thought that every topic in life just had one podcast to it, and it was the first person who did one. I don't know. But knowing that that's not how it works, it didn't really bother me. But at the same time, I kind of thought, that's bizarre because I know I knew of 2 other existing agility podcasts as well before I started mine. So that makes 3 in total. So I was like, I'm the 4th that I know of. So I just don't, again, maybe that person wouldn't have come to me if I hadn't put a question box on Instagram. I guess you're kind of asking for a bit of hate when you put a question box on Instagram, especially an anonymous one, which is why I don't do it anymore, because I just think the haters are going to leap onto that, aren't they? Because they're like, oh, she doesn't know it's me. So I just do the normal questions now because I can't be bothered. And I also get some really bizarre people, like, not bizarre people, or probably bizarre people, but bizarre things that people write in. Or like pointless things that I have to like skip through, or like just one words or weird stuff like that. So I don't bother doing that anymore. I've gone on a tangent. But yeah, that really threw me off guard. That confused me because obviously I didn't copy anyone. I didn't think of it like that. I just had a different mindset going into it. And then I thought, oh my God, do people actually think like that? And this was after a few episodes. I was like, oh, what? Like, I never had that mindset around things. Like, everyone listening probably has an Instagram account. Did you copy me? Because I have an Instagram account and you got yours a year later. Or, do you know what I mean? It's bizarre, isn't it? Like, I just didn't understand that. But I'd say that's the only, like, and it's not even really hate. It's just sort of being cheeky, being sort of prying, being, you know, assuming things, making assumptions and jumping to conclusions and stuff like that. And again, didn't really have to deal with that. Again, like I just explained to you guys, I explained it on there. I just said, no, I didn't copy Elise's podcast. I love Elise's podcast. And then explained my mindset around it, as I've just done to you. And yeah, that's how I dealt with it. Just be honest and explain what's going on in your head after seeing that question. But yeah, they're not really like, I wouldn't say they're hate or huge criticism really, but they're just little digs I've had. And to be honest, I'm surprised I've only had those 2 that I can remember anyway. Maybe I had more that are just that irrelevant, I forgot. But just try and just take it with a pinch of salt. There's constructive criticism, and then there's like hate. Hate, ignore it or explain calmly, friendly. And then criticism, try and take it constructively. Just think, oh, okay, if it's true, and if you think actually, yeah, they're quite right a little bit, learn from it and make your podcast, social media channel, etc. better as a result of that. All good. Okay. So, number 15, how do you make your podcast or social media channel stand out from the crowd? This kind of goes along with what I was just saying. You kind of automatically do that by just being you. Like, you are different from everyone else anyway, so it's kind of easy. And then, like I said, have your niche and know what it is and stick to it kind of as much as you can. So, for example, my niches are just agility, you know, dogs, agility, grooming, fitness. I don't know of anyone else who has those 4 things and just those 4 things that I know of. So again, just that they're my 4 passions. That's me. That's who I am. So that's what I base my social media and podcast around. So just what are your few things that you're passionate about, and base your content around those. And then that will make it stand out automatically, because that's probably automatically different because you're you know. You've not got an exact replica with the exact handful of passions that you have and that you know a lot about and have experienced a lot. So you don't really have to try too hard to stand out. You should just be yourself and you'll automatically do that. Again, take inspiration from others, but don't flat out copy them because then it gets obvious. But, you know, there is copying content, and then there's like copy, like that person said to me, oh, copying someone else because they had a podcast. It's like, well, you know, but billions of people have Instagram accounts, YouTube channels, podcasts. Did they all copy each other? I don't get that. It's not about the fact that you've got a podcast or a social media channel. It's about talking about what you want to talk about and bringing your own opinion and thoughts and personality to the table, if that makes sense. So again, not something you should have to think about or try too hard for. 16, what is your best piece? Oh, just quickly, again, don't be afraid to actually be honest and voice your actual opinions. People prefer that. 16, what is your best piece of advice for those wanting to start their own podcast or social media channel? I've said this already, but if I had to choose one best piece of advice, consistency. Be consistent, post consistently, upload content consistently. Around your niche. So yeah, just be consistent in all aspects, in what you're uploading content about and how frequently you upload content about. Of course, it's okay to take a couple of weeks break every now and again if you want, but just accept that if you fall off for a little while, then you might lose some followers or not grow any more followers or lose a bit of engagement, stuff like that. Turning your accounts and Instagram into a business account is helpful if it's on a personal account currently, because that will give you an analytics and statistics about how your channel is performing, and you can see if it's growing, or what's the opposite of growing. I'm having a dumb moment. I have a lot of those. Or, you know, getting worse. I don't know how else to say it, or just plateauing. And then you can think, oh, how come? And then you can trial and error. Try uploading more frequently. Does it grow? Brilliant. That's what you have to do. Try uploading, in a slightly different style. Does it get better? Does it not? Blah, blah, blah. So it's a lot about trial and error as well, as long as you're doing what you actually want to do with it. Again, at the end of the day, it's your podcast, your social media channel. You do what you want to do with it. But just if you want it to be successful, I mean, some people have them and they're not bothered how they do. They just want, it's more for themselves. You know, it's more for themselves, more for their memories. I know I've said to my mum before about, you know, all the posts she does, and she's like, it's not for people, it's for me, my memories, you know, it's like a scrapbook online, isn't it? So some people aren't bothered, but some people like me do want to grow it, spread the word, you know, get it bigger, stuff like that. So yeah, my main piece of advice is consistency and sticking to your niche that you're passionate about and you want to talk about and upload content about. You've got to enjoy creating and uploading the content. So stick to content that you are actually passionate about, and upload that consistently. So number 17, what is your best piece of advice for those struggling to grow their podcast or social media channel? Again, like I just said, if you're struggling to grow it, just think why. Again, if you haven't already, switch to a business account and you can actually analyse those stats and then trial and error different tactics and see how it works. It might take a few months to try different things and see which one brings those stats up more. So if you're struggling, switch your business account, look at the stats. Struggling, look at the stats, try different things, see what works, and think about why. Think about why am I not growing, you know? Am I not posting consistently enough? Am I not engaging with people enough? Am I not, responding to people enough? Am I not asking my followers questions enough? Like I said, it's huge on engagement. Am I not following other people enough? Am I not liking other people's posts enough? You know, it's social media, not you media. So yeah, another tip is definitely engage with people and, you know, pay attention and put interest into other people's social media and podcasts as well and make connections, and then they'll come back to you and vice versa. So yeah, struggling to grow, definitely think why and try some different things that might help, including engaging with other people. So number 18, what are your future goals for growing your podcast and social media channels? Well, for the podcast and social media really, I've had goals of sponsorship for a while. So I now have 3 sponsors for just me in general. So Paleo Ridge, Ready to Run, and now Fuel 10K. I get excited every time I think about it. And then the podcast now, Huel. So I've wanted a podcast sponsor, my first podcast sponsor, for a while. And now I've got one, so that's a huge goal ticked. I don't know specifically, just carry on being consistent, do what I'm doing. I have some ideas for what I want to do. I think I mentioned before about having some of my listeners on, again going back to that engagement, having listeners on, so doing video calls with listeners, and we can talk about a topic they want to talk about, and then doing more lives as well. I think I'd like to incorporate more live videos where I sit and talk live to you guys, and then have that as a podcast episode if you're not actually on the live, and to listen back to. So they're 2 of the ideas that I've got for the future that I will be doing. There's the accountability. I will be doing, hold me to it, I will be doing those 2 things at some point. My laptop's fallen off my lap. So I think that's it really. I don't have any specific goals, just keep going. Again, just keep enjoying it. I mainly do it because I love it. But yeah, for my social media, not sure, because I'm doing exactly what I want to do with it. But yeah, just implementing those ideas, just keep doing more things. Like, I'd say my biggest goal for both of those things is to keep doing different things. Like I've just maybe a month now, food and fitness Friday. So keep doing new things, trying new things, new ventures with it. Like I said, new ideas for the podcast, like I've just told you. Just keep branching out and, you know, pushing the limits and seeing what I can do with it and how much I can do with it, basically. And then, you know, YouTube and stuff, I'd love to start earning a little bit of cash on the side. I'd love to turn my, you know, online presence into a bit of a side hustle and make some money from it. So that is probably the next big goal, even if that's, again, through ads, like ads on YouTube, stuff like that. So yeah, I'd say that is a goal. But yeah, mainly just keep branching out, keep putting all my ideas into play, actually following through with all of them like I am doing. I've got some exciting ideas, like I just said, putting them into practice and hopefully turning it into a bit of a side hustle eventually. But like I said, that's quite a long-term goal, and that I don't have any end dates on my goals. I don't want to make it too much like a chore or a job, because like I said, I do have an actual job at the moment. I know it's just part-time, and obviously competing and training my dogs and gym and stuff is a priority. But yeah, this is just something I love doing. But yeah, I want to keep it nice and relaxed, but those are a few goals I have. and they're very exciting, to be honest, something to work towards. So 2 questions. Okay, so number 19, and you will have seen by now, is please can you do a guest podcast episode with an agility breeder and discuss choosing a stud, matching puppies to suitable owners and raising future agility dogs. So this morning, actually, this is Monday, so 2 days ago for you guys, I put up that my next guest on the podcast is going to be Sophie Macbeth, and she is Ari's breeder. She breeds tufty head working cocker spaniels, as you'll probably know. So I'm going to have her on. I've already got loads of questions for her. I've asked you guys this morning to send questions for her all around those topics of breeding agility dogs, which is really exciting and a great idea. So thank you to the person, I can't remember who it was, who sent that question in. That's such a good idea. I feel like that's going to be a really popular episode. So hopefully that'll be next week or the week after. So definitely come back for that. That's going to be great. And then, see, number 20, someone put, this is not related to the episode's topic, but I really do want some help with it. So I was like, oh, you know what, go on. You know, I can't just make a podcast episode about this one question, so I'm just going to answer it. So they want to know, how do you know when you are ready for another dog? So I've talked about this before, but for this one person asking, and if anyone else wants to know, just a little bonus question, completely random, not on topic at all, but I think you just do. You just know. So the agility side of it, I just knew that Ethel had peaked in her career, and you know she plateaued for a while. I still enjoyed running her, but we were plateauing results wise, and then I could see a decline in her, obviously, with her, you know, just how she was running. She seemed a bit uncomfortable, but mainly just that plateau. And I thought, you know, we're not plateauing, we're never going to win a champ ticket, you know, out of the course time, stuff like that. And I do have those goals of being in the main arena at Crufts, getting on senior team GB, Olympia, stuff like that. And not to be horrible to Ethel, she's amazing, but I know I'm not going to get there with her. So that's when I knew I was ready for Arrow. And then obviously I knew it was right, because shortly after I got Arrow, that's when I started seeing a decline in those senses, you know, physically, stuff like that. And then I retired her last summer. And now I have Arrow. So that's how I knew I was ready for Arrow, when I saw that plateau. And at the moment, like, I think you just know, because at the moment I know I'm not ready for another dog. I'm not questioning it. I'm not ready. For me, it's all about when you think you have peaked your current dog. I like concentrating on one dog at a time, personally. I don't know why. Again, each of their own. If you want to have 3 dogs that you're training up at once, do that. But I don't think I can give more than one dog my full-time attention and make them the best they can be if I do that with lots and lots of dogs. So I like to work on one dog at a time, and then once I generally in my heart of hearts feel like I brought the best out of this dog, agility wise, then I will think, okay, it's time to get another one, you know, to start training up. So that is how I know when I've peaked my dog that I'm currently running and training. I like to give every single dog my absolute all. And personally, I feel like I can only do that with one mainly at a time. But, you know, again, it just depends what you want. But that's how I personally know. But, you know, I think you just know, you know, do you want another one? Could you have the time? Again, it depends where you are in life, you know, what job do you have, how much time in the day do you have? You know, what are your other commitments? Can you commit enough time to training and being with that dog and raising it? So it's all like that, but that is personally how I feel about the topic. So that is all the questions. I think this has been quite a long episode. Are we on an hour now? I can't see, but it's 8:30. It's my bedtime soon. It's my bedtime in 2 hours. I'm a granny. So yeah, very cool episode today. And like I said, definitely come back next week or the week after for Sophie. So I need to go to bed. Sophie's episode. And oh my god, I'm choking again. And yeah, definitely come back every Wednesday, 8 p.m. You know the drill. And if you can keep sending me your ideas for episodes and guests to come on as well, that would be great. If you would like to have a video call with me and be a guest on an episode, please do DM me with your topic ideas, showing your interest. And last but not least, please follow me on all the socials here. I'll put them on screen here on YouTube and down below on Apple and Spotify. Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I am active on those pretty much every single day. We love that consistency, don't we? and you don't want to miss that. Lots of exciting things happening. Like I said, I'm busy, lots to tell you guys about every day, so you really don't want to miss out on hearing about those. And then I said last but not least, but one very last thing is, if you're feeling kind, please leave a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That would mean the world to me, especially if it's 5 stars. And now, before I butcher any more words or sentences and start really irritating you all, I will see you next Wednesday at 8 p.m. I'm going to go to bed now. Bye, guys.